finding that when you get into your deep squat, you get to that bottom position, that you feel like you get some pinching in the front of the hip, like it's just restricted there. What's happening is you're getting impinged. And if we can clear that out, you're gonna be able to get into a deeper squat, right? So some people just can't get into a deep squat for a variety of reasons. It could be ankle mobility, it could be hip mobility, it could be back or shoulders. But part of this, it could be pinching in the front of the hip. So that's usually a telltale sign that we have some hip impingement, and we want to try to clear that out a little bit so that way you can get into a lower position, pain-free, and more excursion. So the way we can do that is we take a firm resistance mobility band, and we're just going to step through it if we're working on my left hip. So I want to have it right up tight into the top of my hip here. And then I'm going to take that and step forward to put a little tension on it. And I just want to kind of get down into this half kneeling position, or I'm sorry, like the staggered position. And right now the band is pulling my hip socket backwards, and I can work over that, right? Or I can just kind of work in and out of that. I can try to lean over to one side if I need to, and that's going to get a little bit more to that posterior corner of my hip, or to the opposite side. As I need a little more mobility, I can just create a little more tension there. Right? Our hip capsule is fairly strong, so it can handle quite a bit of tension. So depending on your size will depend on what size band you need. But as opposed to some of the other joints that take lesser resistance, the hip generally takes more resistance. So we can kind of just work in and out of that. Right? I can even take this position and I can try to do a contract relax by trying to bring this knee forward. Right? So not pushing on my foot, but if I try to bring that knee forward more, and then when I relax, it gets a little more mobilization. So that way that hip closes down a little bit better. Now from there, we do it in this position, but we also can do it in, and I suggest doing both, in this position where we're going to be kind of using our hands for balance. And my goal here is to try to get this leg to straight. I just want to push that leg straight, and I'm going to feel a nice stretch up the back of my leg when I do that. And then when I get to straight with my heel down, now I can kind of rock my hip side to side, and that's going to get different parts of that posterior chain, and that's going to help clear out the front of that hip. So after I do that mobilization work, a couple minutes with each exercise on each side, and when I get out of there, now I'll be able to squat a lot cleaner without getting that pinching in the front of the hip. And all of a sudden now I get to a bottom position without rounding my back and not having that pain in the front of the hip.